Okay, so the last match to go over from episode 4 is the James Stonier versus Cody Hrastnik fight. So this wasn't a good fight. It was a total letdown for me personally because Stonier is one of the guys that I was looking forward to seeing the most on the season. Both of these guys were already on the Power Slap roster. Stonier was 1-1. I think he had a win over, I think it was Camille. And then he had a loss to Dorian Perez, which is, nothing to hang your head about. So I've seen Stonier a couple times, and he looked like a problem despite the one loss that he had. I'd never seen Hrastnik before. I don't think he's ever competed on a live numbered card, but I could be wrong. And I wasn't sure what to think of him. And I'm just super high on Stonier. So to be honest with you, I really didn't give him much of a chance, which is pretty bad. But yeah, I was really looking forward to seeing Stonier, and this one definitely let me down. And it really wasn't his fault. It was just completely sloppy on the Hrastnik side, and kind of ruined it for me, to be honest. But so one thing that I've talked about in previous videos, and I want to reiterate, is, again, it is just so smart for strikers that are already on the roster to get on the reality show. If you're not in the top 5 in your respective division, you should be trying to get on this show every season. Every season. It's just such an advantage to be on this show. Think about it. You get to tell your story. On a Power Slap number card, you get maybe a minute that they'll talk about you, give you some brief bullet points. You get a walkout with a walkout song, and that's about it. And then they see you perform. On the reality show, you get to say your name, where you're from, videos of your family and you, or you training, or where you're from. People can make legitimate connections with you. And that's really how you build a loyal fan base. So, again, it was just beyond smart to get on the reality show. And I've said it, I'll say it again, and you've actually, you will see more strikers that are already on the roster on this season. They've already announced it. So yeah, just couldn't have been a better move by both guys. We'll start with Stonier. So Stonier, dude, this guy is a true heavyweight, man. Weighed in at he came in at 6'5", 263, and this boy is scary, man. He is scary. Look at this guy, dude. He looks like he collects chins for a living. Seriously, man. He looks like the toughest guy at every barbecue ever. And in my opinion, he looks, honestly, one of the most intimidating guys on the entire roster. So yeah, big heavyweight, big scary heavyweight. Hrastnik 6'1", 254. So definitely not small, but not huge either. I'd say he's right around par, if not a little bit on the small side for heavyweight. Okay, so Cody won the toss and was slapping first. And man, it was a bad slap, dude. It was a bad slap. It was a straight up judo chop to the neck. And what was extra bad about it is because there's no excuse to have a bad first slap, man. There really isn't. You've had all this time. You're unobstructed, you haven't been hit, so you're not rocked at all. Yeah, you probably have a few pre-slap jitters, but dude, welcome to professional slapping. There was just no excuse for this. This was just a bad slap, and it was a club, man. It was a straight up club. Stonier was able to eat it, dude. His chin was crazy. He got in his, he's 1-1. His loss was a knockout loss to Dorian Perez, and it can be dangerous to criticize someone's chin over 1 KO loss because Dorian Perez is a huge hitter. And from what he said in interviews or whatever, I don't think he really helped himself out the night before in that fight. So despite having a KO loss on his record, I really did think he had a good chin, and he proved it in this fight. He straight up ate a club freaking the Flintstones, dude. It was a big illegal shot, and he ate it. But yeah, it was a clubbing foul. And then on James' first slap, it wasn't a great slap either. I was expecting more from him. In an interview, he said that he tried something different, which is never good in competition. I mean, if you're going to try something different, it needs to be outside of competition where you can just have a lot of repetition and really make it muscle memory. It seemed like he was a little far away and just out of range for it to land 100% flush. I mean, if that guy lands flush on you, there's just no way you're eating it without any reaction. So, yeah, he just seemed a little out of range. And it does kind of suck for him because, there was no excuse for Cody's first slap. I mean, for Stonier, dude, he just ate an illegal strike and then had to throw his first slap. So, it just goes to show, like, how much of an advantage winning the coin toss is because, again, you get to strike when you're perfectly straight and your opponent doesn't get to strike until they've received a hit. So even if you don't knock them out on the first lap, it's just compounding advantage that just progresses throughout the fight. And I think Stonier felt it here. Yeah, so it wasn't the best slap by James on his first one, and Cody ate it. And then on Cody's second slap, dude, This was the club of all clubs, man. This was all right. I've said in previous videos, like, there's levels to clubbing. So there's clubbing where it's like you throw like an open flat hand that would normally be a legal strike and you just land outside of the zone. That's technically still a club. And then there's clubbing where you lead with the vicious, hard part of the base of your palm, the very bottom of your hand, which is just as hard as your knuckles. And that's exactly what he did. And not only that, he landed straight on the chin with it, man. That was don't get it twisted. That was a straight up punch to the face. I don't care what anybody says. Cody's second slap was a straight up punch to the face. He might as well have made a closed fist and punched him. Go back and watch that. He led with the hard part of the palm and hit straight on the tip of the chin, which is exactly, if you're trying to knock somebody out, that's exactly where you want to land, but you're not supposed to lead with that part. It needs to be a flat, open hand. This was a straight up punch, dude. It was a straight up punch, and it really did frustrate me. And, all right, so first of all, how the actual fuck did Stonier not go out on that? How, dude? That was a straight up punch to the face. And he stumbled a little bit, but he was able to eat it, man. I was beyond impressed with Stonier's chin. I mean, again, he took 2 unanswered illegal clubs to the face and stayed standing. And somehow landed a clean blow on his slap, despite eating a club. I was very frustrated with Cody when, at the end of the match, he said, like, oh, I put on a good performance. Dude, you did not put on a good performance, man. Dana was straight up generous to you when he said, like, that, you could have a future in the sport. I didn't see it. I thought it looked amateur. I thought it looked like your first time. I thought, to be honest, man, again, there's levels to clubbing. Like, if you throw like a flat palm and miss outside of the range, dude, it is what it is. Shit happens. Not everybody can land flush all the time. When there's no excuse for leading like a dirty strike, man. There just isn't. I don't even think that he should be able to compete again, personally. It very much frustrated me, especially when I was trying to see Stonier compete. Like, he just didn't look like he belonged there, man. He didn't look like he belonged there. And yeah, I just don't think there's any place for these bad clubs. Like, this one was bad, man. It was really bad. And it just really frustrates me even more when people are just delusional about their performance. So yeah, pretty much this was just a bad fight all in all. But Stonier gets the win by DQ due to 2 horrendous striker fouls. Like, again, there are levels to striker fouls, and these were up there, man. And so Stonier moves on. He's going in the house, and I can't wait to see him compete again. Again, it wasn't his fault, man. He wanted to scrap. He wanted a good, clean match, I'm sure. And, I mean, I'm not saying that Cody's a bad guy, but power slap isn't for everybody, man. If you can't land clean blows, especially when it's your first slap, then maybe it's just not the sport for you. I'm sure he's a nice guy, but again, this is power slap, man. Like, this is dangerous, dude. This is straight up, this is a dangerous sport. And the last thing you want is guys out there that are gonna potentially put a dangerous strike on somebody. I mean, this sport is still in its infancy. If there's a bad injury due to a bad illegal strike, that could be a black eye that power slap might not be able to recover from in the long run. So this just really isn't a good look for your roster. I personally don't think we should see him again, but Dana seems to think that we'll see him again, and I think that it really is the fact that they just really need some new blood in the heavyweight division. The heavyweight division is a little stale right now because the bell has taken out pretty much everybody besides Dorian Perez. So yeah, I think that power slap is really struggling to find some new up and coming heavyweights to get some new blood. So I think that if they had a top 10 that was just complete fresh matchups, absolute killers, I don't even think that Dana would have mentioned that you'd see him again. But I think that part of the reason why you did mention that you'll see him again, or might see him again, is because they need heavyweights. So yeah, overall, wasn't a good match. Wasn't Stonier's fault. Looking forward to seeing him compete again. It looks like there's some straight up killer heavyweights on here, man. They started showing some previews of some other guys on the roster, and there look like some killers on here, man. I think these fights are gonna deliver on the next couple weeks, so I'm really hoping they do. And then also, so I put out a little teaser on my Instagram about me thinking about doing a pound for pound ranking video, and actually way more people replied to it saying that they wanted it than I thought they would. So it turns out I am going to do that. I already have them made, and the video is going to take me, I'm probably not going to have the video up till later this week, but the actual physical rankings I'm going to drop on Wednesday right before the new episode. Give y'all something to look at, something to talk about. But yeah, I have a feeling that this next week is going to deliver, but you never know. And yeah, not a good fight overall.